My question is necessarily geared towards free agency and sort of contracts and everything like that. We're in a new era of player empowerment. Players have a lot more freedom to kind of do what they want and meet their demands, and kind of everything we've seen when it comes to requesting trades and contract discussions and agencies and whatnot. There's a lot of implications for everything. The first thing I want to know, because I'll have like a follow-up question kind of like halfway into this segment, but first thing I want to know is, do you support player empowerment, or do you side with more of the team kind of taking charge? And what are the pros and cons of player empowerment to you? So whichever one of you wants to start, feel free.
You want to go?
Yeah, sure,
ahead.
I'll go.
Go ahead.
I think it's interesting because I feel like the whole player empowerment movement, its origins began with Jordan. I think it began way back then, but it gradually got more and more,
Right.
Player central, you know what I mean? But it started with Jordan, and that's because David Stern wanted to make the league centered around one player rather than the teams of the NBA. He wanted to center around a superstar. So to that point, obviously numbers-wise, it did great for the NBA, right? Because the NBA skyrocketed because of the talent of one super amazing player, right? So in terms of that, it did good for the NBA.
Right.
But we started to see in years past, maybe like the past few years, that player empowerment maybe isn't the best for the NBA, because now you're having a bunch of superstars join together, and maybe now the odds are so heavily favored for one team above another, and it's like, almost predictable, not fun to watch or something like that. So I think we've seen the pros and the cons of the player empowerment movement, so to say, but it's tough. Like, it's hard to find a balance for these types of things, and it's almost impossible to find a balance, because if you choose a direction to go in, you're going to go in that direction until you hit a wall, and then you're going to swing back in the other direction. So you're always you're never going to fully stay in that balance. You're always going to either here or there, because you're always going in a direction. Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly, yeah.
You're never going to be stagnant, is what I'm trying to say. So you're either going all out towards player empowerment or all out towards team and whatever, like front office empowerment, right?
Yeah.
So you're always going to go in a certain direction. And that being said, I'll just let the NBA go with its flow. That's what I'll say.
Okay. You know what? That was a very good answer.
Thanks.
Very deep, very thoughtful, very incisive.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Yeah.
I applaud you. You have a good basketball mind.
Thanks, man.
Except you do like Russell Westbrook. So let's see what Antoine thinks.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna first. Spurs have selected their pick at 4.
Yep.
They have found their point guard. It is Stephon Castle.
Ah, right.
So he's gonna be running the point.
Yeah, no need to take
with
Klingon.
them.
So Klingon fell to 5 after we clowned Antoine for saying he would fall below 3.
I said he was gonna fall.
Yeah. All right. That's fair.
So no Rob Dillingham. I'm sorry for San Antonio.
It's all right.
For now.
Oh, okay.
I think we're not gonna have a debate. I think I take that same kind of approach as Gio. It's very push and pull with player empowerment, front office movement when it comes to a lot of things, especially with contracts and money and trade stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it a lot with Harden requesting trades left and right to get moved out of a situation he wasn't liking, which was Philly, Brooklyn, and of course they have to, kind of admire, or not really admire, but like give into that instead of keeping the player because he doesn't want to play there anymore. So obviously Harden had the player empowerment when it came to all that. But like you said with Jordan as well, back in the day, it's, the player should always have some say. I think they both should have some say when it comes to things, front office and the player itself. Because, at the end of the day, everybody's a human in this situation, and they all have their types of feelings and emotions when it comes to certain things, especially when money talks. When you're working on a contract with a team and an agent, of course, you want to get paid. We just talking about Nick Claxton and OG Anunoby. They want to get paid for what they're putting on the court. Some are going to make less than others. Some are going to make more than others. That's how they play. That's how what your value is. What your value is as a player. That's what it is. You may overpay. You may underpay.
Yeah.
It's kind of just how teams value, and you may value yourself as a player a lot more, but a team may not value as a certain amount. You just kind of have to go with it. I mean, at the end of the day, you're still making millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Compared to, it's not like it's a drastic drop off when it comes to contracts, and how you value yourself if you're like the best player in the position. Like if Nick Claxton thinks he's the best center in the league and wants there's so many better center. Jokic is the best center in the league.
Yeah.
And
so you're saying basically be reasonable based on who you are as a player.
Exactly.
And I think the front office obviously is going to declare whether you're worth this amount of money or not.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. But I wanted to ask you, Tyler, how would you define player empowerment or the player empowerment movement? How would you define that before we can
Are you talking about forcing like a move out of a team like Harden? Okay, so exactly what I'm saying with Harden.
It's essentially the player sort of kind of not overthrowing, but kind of taking charge, whether it's GM with LeBron kind of enforcing moves, stuff like that, whether it's just working with, the GM working with a player. Kind of like when we had KD, it was a partnership. You don't get that without player empowerment. And, the ability to request trades and force trades and stuff like that. It's not really so much of, it's an employer-employee thing, but at the end of the day, it's you work together. You're almost on the same level. Whereas it's like, and even like a non-starter example, like Furkan Korkmaz requested a trade from Philadelphia and he barely plays.
Yeah.
So you're kind of seeing that. Yeah. And it's good sometimes because players get better opportunities, i.e. Bones Highland. He wasn't getting the minutes with Denver. He wanted to go to the Clippers and Denver did that. They found him a place where he could play. So to me, I think player empowerment is so important with regards to the now with the NBA because the league is so loaded with revenue and the TV deal that's about to happen. Players are going to get mega contracts, and I think with players kind of dictating things for themselves, I think it essentially makes it easier for the teams to kind of make moves. If you're forcing their hand, they have to quickly kind of do something because like James Harden when he requested out here. If we didn't trade him, he was just going to walk to Philly for nothing, especially under this new CBA. Teams need to now get dollars on the penny or get pennies on the dollar, whatever that phrase goes, and not, you're barely going to see Jalen Brunson situations happen again. We'll probably see it happen to Jimmy Butler next year, but you're not really going to see all-stars or superstars go for nothing anymore.